What is up, everyone? Little Bat here, and today I wanted to present a video for handling the rifts and getting your in-game farming done. I know that I've been away a while, but honestly, after hundreds of hours and updates killing a lot of my builds, I need to take a break from the game and catch up on other titles that have been released. But now we are just a little bit over a month away from the last DLC dropping, which looks awesome, by the way. And I wanted to get back in the groove and let everyone know how I approach this to get back on top in no time. In this video, I want to cover 4 different topics that I believe to be priority to get your character incredibly powerful, no matter the job, and get you ready for the next DLC. As I go through the video, I'll kind of talk about why I haven't really released any updates for my builds, because once you hit the end game with the rift, things change dramatically to where basically no matter what class you're maining, if you have these different types of setups, you're going to become incredibly powerful, and it can vary depending on which kind of actions you want to take. So there's a lot of different customizations that you can do, and it's very open-ended to pretty much set up a lot of different people's play styles throughout the end of the game. So it's very hard to kind of narrow down what build is specifically the best for all these different classes. Since so much time has passed, a lot of y'all might have already figured some of these things out, but just in case, I do want to cover these, just because there might be something that you missed that could make your farming a little faster, or have your in-game builds just a little bit stronger than you realize you can get. And with that, let's get started into the video. The first thing I want to cover that I think is the highest priority is leveling up the job affinities on the monsters. By doing this, you can make your character incredibly powerful and set yourself up for rift builds as you're going through. Depending on your job, there's going to be 2 that I'm going to say are open-ended, but there is a 3 that I believe are base, and having these 3 will cover every job class that you're going through and will make you pretty much invincible if you set this up correctly. And that's what I want to talk about next, and how I pushed them so fast to get them up and then started focusing more on my DPS. The first one you can see is the Iron Giant for the Paladin, that way you're immune to status effects. The Cyclic, so you can spam Lightbringer to get your MP up. The Knight for invincibility while you have Lightbringer going on. And the Tomberry for that Dark Knight Breaker combo that is pure DPS no matter what class you are playing. Make sure that you're feeding your monsters to stack those buffs up, and also collecting their boons whenever possible, as they will carry over. Some are for 1 mission, but some are for 2. Now, going through this, as you can see here, my swordsman, for example, I have my 5 monsters set out for him that I would normally play with, and as you can see here, I'm rocking, I believe, 8 different job affinities, and all are getting the 600 bonus. It's very well worth it. It's going to make you incredibly powerful no matter, like I said, what job you are playing once you start coming up through these rifts. But I always highly suggest prioritizing those initial 3 for your defensive purposes. And of course the Tomberry is going to give you some solid DPS, but the Knight and the Paladin are 2 most definites. And you can set Neon up as a Knight and the Paladin, and you can set those up at your sub jobs and they will stack. As you can see here, I was showing that I was using the Coral. The Coral is highly important because he is going to boost the proficiency of the enemy kills that you're getting. Even though I'm only killing 90 enemies, by having him out and leveling him as well with those 3 at the beginning of it, it's going to help push these even faster. That way you can get those done and you can start focusing on the next 2 that you want to level up for whatever class you're playing. I've had it happen before in just two-man co-op by me subbing a job, my co-op partner subbing that job, and having as one of the NPCs as that job. If you're lucky out and you get the core buff, sometimes you can get over 5,000 points alone or more by doing these 90-man runs, which is going to be a whole level just instantaneously. Especially if you're at the lower levels, it's going to be multiple levels. Getting 200% is pretty easy. After that, it is going to start requiring more points. But to me, it is, like I said, it is very much worth the grind. Because once you hit that 400% proficiency with the affinities on that job, then you only need one piece of gear with that 200%, and you'll have the 600 bonus for whatever job it is that you have on your class. The next thing I want to cover is make sure that you are collecting the Gilgamesh accessories. These right here, as you are coming up through the roof levels, you're going to see him every so often. The Marlboro, her boon is to help make the chances higher, but once you hit floor 100, Gilgamesh is pretty much always going to be out. You'll be able to run his mission and then complete it, and after that you'll have to run another rift and then it will return back. By doing this and collecting these accessories, it's going to give you another 400 affinity bonus for one of the other job classes. So by having all these monsters like I was talking about, once you have them all leveled up and you have this accessory, you could basically be running almost 10 level 400 jobs on one class. They have made it set up to where in-game rifts, when you're doing this, you can become incredibly powerful. And that brings me to the next setup, and that is make sure you are collecting the summon blessings and try to have it where your main and sub complement each other. As you can see, I was subbing Leviathan on my sub job because that's where the cyclic is, and every time I use that soul shield boost that I'm getting from the 600 cyclic, it's going to help give me even more MP if I want to spam it down and get the different stacks, let's say from the 600 assassin or the 600 breaker, where I'm getting that strength or that agility. I can get multiple stacks, then break that boss, and I'm going to get all that MP back, and it allows me to get a lot more stacks going for me. As you can see here, you go through the identify process. Even though you can't see the bubbles, you can see the summon affinity, and that's how you want to collect them up. The next thing I want to talk about, which is incredibly time saving, is use your filter to collect the baubles no matter the rarity. The only rarity I will say I probably don't collect is the blue, just for the item sakes and having to got through so much, because when you start running the defeat all enemies, you are going to have a ton of these items. But the way this works is you could have, as you saw at the beginning, that green, and it had multiple level 7s, you could have 8s level baubles. There's kind of no limit to it. So an easy way to farm that, as I'm going to show here, if you were to collect everything up, you want to filter it. Let's say you want to collect, I believe I put it on, well first I didn't know. That way I can get rid of anything that don't have any baubles on it whatsoever that might have got picked up going throughout it. But after that, you want to go through. See, even here, my blue pieces, no baubles. That way I can go ahead and start collecting some crystals on the side. That way I can identify those items. But let's say that you are towards the end game and you don't want like the level 1 or 2 baubles, because the percentages aren't nowhere near as high. Because now with this DLC, we can finally hit the highest bauble, which is level 8. So I will select, as you can see here, 5 or higher, because I'm at end game, or I think I selected 6 or higher. My bad. I selected 6 or higher because at this point I don't have any level 5 or lower baubles on my 2 different builds, and I want to just keep farming with these guys and collecting the high level baubles for other classes that I might feel like making. Well, by doing this, you select that up. You see I've got locks on different pieces already because they've gone through the process of me locking them out. What you want to do is, since you know every one of these pieces now, is going to have a level 6 or higher. You're going to select all the different pieces that you have, and you're going to lock them. You want to lock every piece of weapon that you've got under all of them. That way, no matter what, they can't be accidentally deleted. Because the next thing is going to help filter this down even more, because you can't select a level 4 or lower bauble. You always got to go higher throughout the filter process. And you're going to do the same thing with the armor. Everything here is going to have a level 6 bauble or higher. So you're going to select everything and lock it. And now all of these are safe. So you're going to go back to dismantle. And now I know it's showing every level piece. And if it doesn't have a lock to it now, at this point, I know that it's got, let's say, a level 5 or lower. None of these are going to have level 6s. Now, as you can see, these are tied in to my NPCs, so it's not going to let me delete them. But all you got to do is hit select all again, and then you just hit that X button over it to delete. And you know that every piece of gear you have with a level 6 is safe, and everything from level 5 and lower is now gone. Because once you do get to this end game, it's going to be a ton of items that you're picking up, especially if you do reduce the rarity like I have. You're going to be getting a ton of items from the defeat all enemies, and you're also going to be getting a ton of items from the blues that you're going to be picking up and identifying. Which, if you want to, you can lock all your blues. That way, if you're trying to make sure you're collecting the summon pieces, you don't accidentally get rid of them. It might have a really high summon affinity, but no baubles on it that are really worth anything. So you can save those up to collect. The only one that's a little bit different, I'm going to say that is absolutely tricky and you can't use this method with, is the accessories. Because the accessories, no matter, since you can't improve them, even though it might have a level 5 bauble and one of them's a level 2 bauble, the level 2 bauble might have a higher percentage than the level 5 does. As you can see here, I'm showing the strength, and you can look through and you can see, even though the bauble level is higher than the other one, it doesn't beat it out. And since you can't improve it, it's always going to be better. So this is something you got to kind of eyeball. The one thing I will say, probably the best thing to do, is go to type, and that's where all the Gilgamesh accessories will be, and lock those down to be safe. And then you're going to have to go through them pretty much individually. You can filter like the special abilities and kind of knock them out, but they will take some time. Like I said, it's very hard to pretty much, you know, lay out which build or what is the right build. You can do it outside the rift, but as far as inside the rift goes, it's almost impossible to tell, because you can level these different monsters up. Like for the swordsman, I might use the skeleton, and I use old fish face for the strength bonus, and I'm also pushing the 600 monk. That way I'm getting that non-elemental damage bonus going. But you might like somebody else. You might want him as a break build. And if that's the case, then you're going to want that goblin for that 60 extra agility, and also for the duelist that it comes with. Which I will say, those are kind of the priority monsters for the different ones. I'm going to say if you're a caster, you're probably going to want the horse, because it's pure magic damage, it's 60 intellect, it's mage, it's black mage, and it's also magic damage dealt. You've got the fish monster who's 60 strength. Even though he's pugilist and monk, like I said, that monk 600 lays out some really strong damage by just putting the extra 200 on your gear, making sure you get that monk up to 400. You can level it pretty quickly. Since Ash is also a monk, you can just sub it up and get it going and knock that out fairly quickly. And then like I said, the goblin for the 60 agility. You got that duelist, and you're gonna have the thief. That's just nothing but pure agility and critical damage bonus. And with that, it brings me to the end of the video. I'm definitely going to be releasing more content for the new DLC when it drops out next month, and I'm looking forward to it. Please let me know if you got any questions in the comments section, and I'll catch you on the next. Thank you, and have a great day.